Hello, Legacy enjoyers. We are covering the Legacy 1K hosted by Face to Face Games Toronto that was held on July 7th. Before we get into the games, just a quick announcement for the upcoming Legacy of the North Summer Invitational. So we will be streaming the event with live commentary, player interviews, and deck text this time around, and you'll be able to tune in and watch the event on Saturday, August 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The primary stream will be through Legacy of the North sponsor Enter the Battlefield, and you can find that at twitch.tv/ETB Canada. And I'll also be restreaming the event here at youtube.com/@LazyMTG. So we hope to see you in the comment and chat sections on August 10th. So with that out of the way, let's watch some Legacy. Looks like these players are ready to go. Hopefully you saw the previous round coverage, but we have Riley Hicks playing Mono Blue Affinity. He just won against Steven playing Timur Eldrazi. His opponent for this round in the semifinals, it is going to be Pavel playing Mono Green Tron Post. So I think Riley is on a mulligan down to 6 here. Looks like Pavel is going to keep his hand. Looks like he is satisfied. So I think the key here is that Riley is going to need a quick hand or quick setup to kind of pressure Pavel. If you give, traditionally or historically, if you give Cloud Post a few turns to, kind of set up, if you give them some breathing room, then they can kind of run you over really, really quickly starting in the mid game. So you really need to take over the beginning of the game. And, with the lower to the ground style with Simulacrum Synthesizer and Frogmites, you should be able to do that quite easily. However, Riley is now on a mulligan to 5. So he is now fighting an uphill battle. And, around a mulligan to 5 against any deck, it can be considered an uphill battle. Especially for Affinity, where you want to be playing, you want to have a critical mass of cards, and this goes back to the modern era where you really wanted to a lot of people said that you mulligan quite well, but truthfully, whenever you mulligan and you take a card away, your deck is so synergistic with each other and it requires so many different pieces. Sometimes mulliganing is just bad. All right, we're going to see Riley draw his cards. He is looking at Urza's Saga, Mox Opal, Ancient Tomb, Sicarian Infiltrator, Frogmite, Force of Will, Chalice of the Void. So I think you're going to be dumping the Sicarian Infiltrator. Looks like he's dumping the Mox Opal. What is the card that he put back again? Is it Thought Monitor? I know I was saying card names, but I was not registering them. This happens quite often. It looks like he is going to be trying to do either Ancient Tomb into Chalice, or he is going to be Urza Sagaing. All right, here's Once Upon a Time from Pavel. All right, finds Sowing Mycospawn. And I think Riley just said he just played against this deck, but not quite this version. All right, here's a Planar Nexus into Vexing Bauble. That is going to hinder Riley quite a bit. Gonna bait out a Force of Will. It gets to exile a Sicarian Infiltrator here. Gonna pass the turn. Riley gonna draw for his turn. Finds another Chalice of the Void. There's an Urza Saga. Pavel draws for his turn. There's Boseiju, Elvish Spirit Guide. I think that's a Disruptor Flute. All right, Pavel counting out some mana. Gonna play the Boseiju. Very interesting. He could use this to destroy the Urza Saga. Going to cast Disruptor Flute. This can name Urza Saga and just stops it outright. You can still tap it for mana, and he can resolve it and get the 3rd chapter ability, but he cannot make constructs from it, which is going to be problematic. Riley was hinging on it. Finds a Lotus Petal, not great off of the top. Gonna play that Ancient Tomb. If any of you guys are watching this, I just want you to know I write it sideways like that so that you can put it along the long edge of the card so that the camera can read it normally. It's not for you guys to put sideways like that. So, Pavel, if you're watching this, hopefully you know this for the future. Put along the long edge of the card. But Riley going to activate the Ancient Tomb, cast a Chalice of the Void for 1 charge counter. This is going to stop Pavel from playing any more Vexing Baubles or, primarily crop rotations. Pavel is going to hardcast Once Upon a Time. Going to find Cloud Post. So this is the problem that I was kind of getting towards at the beginning when Riley was mulliganing is now we're hitting kind of the mid game where all of Pavel's lands are going to just take over the game. Riley really needed something aggressive, which he kind of was hoping that Urza Saga would do. But now that he knows Disruptor Flutes are in the deck, he can't be relying on Urza Saga. Ooh, there's One Rings in his main board. Kind of like that. Finds a Shadow Spear off the top for the draw for the turn. Honestly, I would probably pick him up. This is not looking great. Although Riley doesn't know how Pavel exactly wins, so I guess it is quite early. Knowing how this matchup is and knowing how Cloud Post works, not only were you running an uphill battle, you're kind of the guy pushing a boulder up a hill. You're kind of stuck now. Because not only did you have to use your Force of Will on a Vexing Bauble, the Mono Blue Affinity plan does not have very good ways to interact with lands. Alright, Pavel going to draw for his turn. Finds a forest. Going to play the forest. So that's good news for Riley. Is that Pavel's not playing very many threatening lands. Going to exile a Sylvan Spirit Guide. Or sorry, Elvish Spirit Guide. Going to kick Sowing Mycospawn. Exile Ancient Tomb. Going to find a land here for him to put into play. I think the most cursed thing about this card is that that land enters the battlefield untapped. Like at this point, a Cloud Post does the same as... Oh, okay. I guess this makes sense, right? Cloud Post taps for 2, and then Forest and Beseiju, so that's only 4, plus the Planar Nexus is 5 mana. Wonder what's in Pavel's hand for him to go with this route. Riley just gonna play an island and pass the turn. Pavel's gonna draw, swing in with the Sowing Mycospawn, drops Riley down to 14. Here's another Planar Nexus. Not gonna do too much because one is already on the battlefield. It's gonna add 1 point of mana to Pavel. Pavel's just gonna pass the turn after swinging with that Mycospawn. Riley gonna draw a Mox Opal for his turn. Doesn't really find much action here. But Pavel going to tap out, activate the Eye of Ugin. I think we're going to find an Ulamog. It is the lower casting one and easier to cast. Can he cast it now is the question. Cloud Post taps for 3, 4, 5 off the Nexi, 6, 7 off of the Forest Beseiju, 8, 9 off of the Eye of Ugin. So as long as he finds a land, yep, there we go. So Cloud Post now taps for 4. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 mana for an Ulamog. Good enough for Riley to scoop him up. That is going to be Pavel taking it in game number 1. Okay, we are starting game number 2 here. Riley going to be on the play. Pavel winning game number 1. Riley going to take a quick mulligan here yet again. All right, Riley looking at Force of Will, Synthesizer, Mox Opal, Ancient Tomb, Thought Monitor, Ancient Tomb, Aether Spellbomb. Okay, looks like he's going to keep. Maybe pitching the Thought Monitor? Okay. Curious why you wouldn't ditch the Aether Spellbomb. It's not like you have an Emery to kind of loop it. Then Ancient Tomb. There's a Spellbomb into Mox Opal. And yep, that's got to be it. Pass a turn to Pavel. Pavel going to draw for his turn. There's Once Upon a Time. I'm not going to lie, I really like this card. However, it does a lot of the times when you're playing it in decks, the cards, the non-land, non-creatures are quite important sometimes. Here's a Vexing Bauble from Pavel. Is it going to bait out a synthesizer? Sorry, a Force of Will. Is there... I don't think he has a way of bouncing it, no? Oh, there's a Patchwork. That's gonna be helpful. Play Ancient Tomb, gonna cast Patchwork. Going to use the other Ancient Tomb, drop himself down to 14, tap the Mox Opal. Now that he has Metalcraft, down comes Simulacrum Synthesizer. Enter the battlefield. Sorry, cast. That's going to trigger the Automaton. Woo! The Scry finds the One Ring. Although, it's... okay, I got excited, but seeing as how Riley will need to drop himself down to 10 life to play the One Ring, he's just going to lose more life drawing cards. I don't know if that's what you want to be. That's why I'm kind of weirded out. I don't know. Like, the One Ring is so good, but I think Mystic Forge might be a little better. Oh, there is Beseiju. Now, do you want to... It looks like he does want to find a land. I don't know. If he really wanted that One Ring, he now has to shuffle it away. Did he even keep the One Ring on the top? So now Riley only has Force of Will in hand. Doesn't know what's on the top anymore. Gonna untap. Yeah, so Pavel's saying if he can move it away so that it doesn't get confusing on the board state. So thank you, Pavel. Riley gonna draw for his turn. Wow! He top decks a Synthesizer. Drops himself down to 12 to cast it. Gonna Scry 2, finds Frogmite and Seat of the Synod. The problem is he can't cast the Frogmite. If he does... Yeah, so this is the big problem, is he can't cast a Frog... If he casts a Frogmite, it's gonna get countered by the Vexing Bauble. And then, like, Synthesizer won't generate a construct because it needs to have the creature enter the battlefield. He does get a +1/+1 counter off for the Patchwork, though. Oh! Pavel cycles the Vexing Bauble. I guess he's just not hitting his land drops. Finds a Tabernacle. I don't think Riley really cares about this now. I think you needed to... I think you don't crack the Vexing Bauble against an Affinity deck. I mean... The deck is called Affinity. Riley going to tap the island to keep the Patchwork Automaton around. Is this a Frogmite off the top? Did he keep it? He kept it. Frogmite's gonna cast trigger the Patchwork, gonna generate a construct. This is gonna be big damage. So this construct is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Frogmite 7, 8. Patchwork 9, 10, 11. So after attack, this drops Pavel down to 15. Wow, okay. So Riley in a very dominant position here. He can pay for all of the artifacts, or he can pay for all of the Tabernacle trigger. There's a One Ring. So this is going to save him for a turn. Going to save Pavel for a turn. Gives him protection. You know Riley has the Force of Will in hand, but it's the only card in his hand, so he can't cast it. Alright, so Pavel going to activate it, puts a burden counter on it, draws 1 card, and just going to pass the turn because he is under a veil of safety. So Riley is going to have to tap to keep these things around. I think you would just let go of the Frogmite and just pay Island. I guess you could just Ancient Tomb. Okay, so he's paying for all of them. Alright, Riley untaps. What does he find? Is it another artifact? Going to attack with... Oh no, he's improvising. Here's a Kappa Cannoneer? Okay. This is going to trigger the Patchwork Automaton. Okay, so I'm not sure how much I like this play. Because, again, if Pavel has like another One Ring or something, then Riley's just adding to his board to Tabernacle. But the Ancient Tombs are going to slowly kill him. This is very debatable. Alright, Pavel's gonna activate the One Ring, draws 2 cards, puts another burden counter down. So Riley at 10 life, Pavel at 14. Does he have another One Ring? I think Pavel has another One Ring. Can he slowly just kill Riley with his own Ancient Tombs? Yeah, are we gonna cast another One Ring? Cast another One Ring. Oh no, it's a Sowing Michael spawn. Less exciting. So this is not being kicked either. So this is just gonna find a this is gonna find any land. Planar Nexus. Okay, so now these Urza's Tower tap for 3. So going from 4 mana, he now has 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, there's a Glacial Chasm. Wow. Okay. Pavel cannot take damage while this land is in play. But there is a cumulative upkeep of pay 2 life. But I don't think this matters a ton. I think Riley needs to let go of this Frogmite, like, really quickly. How many other creatures? He has 5 creatures on board. He can use Mox Opal Island and, like, an Ancient Tomb to keep his board. But then Pavel's going to be losing a lot of life. He loses 2 to the One Ring. If he wants to keep the Glacial Chasm... I think you don't keep the Glacial Chasm, right? Now that Pavel has so much mana from this Planar Nexus and the Urza's Towers, he can just do Planar Nexus Tower and cast another One Ring. So he doesn't need the Glacial Chasm. If I saw it correctly, I'm pretty sure I saw another One Ring in Pavel's hand. But we're going to see how hard Riley commits to keeping his board. Yeah, this is tough. Like, no matter what, I think you get rid of the Frogmite. Maybe you let go of one, like the Patchwork as well. Actually, maybe you let go of the Construct, because if you're letting go of artifacts, the Patchwork doesn't shrink, but the Constructs shrink. Alright, so Frogmite gets sacrificed. Okay, so it looks like Riley is letting go of Patchwork and Construct. That seems like a bad idea. I think you get rid of 2 Constructs at that point. Yeah, that didn't seem great. Because this Construct is... How big is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I guess it's like comparable to the Patchwork. Okay, so Pavel's keeping the Glacial Chasm around. He lost 4 life, 2 from the cumulative upkeep of Glacial Chasm, and then 2 from the burden counters of the One Ring. But I'm pretty sure with this Sowing Michael spawn and the Planar Nexus, with that play, he's very, very far ahead. I guess it's because he's ahead because of the Glacial Chasm as well. There's a Glimmer Post. That's going to gain him 2 life because of itself and the Planar Nexus. And there's a Karn, the Great Creator. This card is so good against Riley's deck. Although Riley is at the point where he doesn't really need to activate. Wow, he's fighting over it. Okay, so he uses the Force of Will, exiles Securian Infiltrator. I'm not sure if I like that play. Because you can just attack it down. The Glacial Chasm doesn't prevent damage to Karn. He could have just attacked it. Especially if he had the Securian Infiltrator, he could have cast it and then... Was it Squad? I think that's the mechanic. Like, it's basically Kicker. He could have kickered the Infiltrator to get 2 more and get 2 draws. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. Okay, there's a One Ring. But One Ring gives protection to him. So, still, you would have been able to attack the Karn. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of countering that Karn. Riley draws a One Ring of his own. Ooh, look how foily that is. It looks so good. Alright, One Ring is going to enter the battlefield. That's going to make another construct off of the Synthesizer. Looks like it is just going to resolve. So Riley gets to get protection from Pavel for 1 turn. All of the damage Riley has suffered is basically from himself. Pavel going to lose 4 life off of this Glacial Chasm. He's going to draw a card for his turn. Going to find another Karn. Does Riley activate the One Ring in response to this? Looks like it resolves. I guess that's a big deal is Riley doesn't have a way of getting rid of the one ring on his side of the field. I wonder what's happening right now. Did it resolve? If it resolved, why are there no counters on it? Okay, it resolved. So Karn is going to tick down, find Ensnaring Bridge. Oof. Alright, this game's over. I think Pavel's got it. There's a Sowing Michael spawn that is gonna find another Urza's Tower. This is a ton of mana. This is gonna be able to cast the Ensnaring Bridge. Alright, so now this Karn is under protection, and Pavel's just going to keep playing cards so that the Construct and the Kappa Cannoneer cannot attack. So the biggest downside to Affinity is if your opponent's playing more cards than you are, you're in a pretty bad situation. Alright, Riley is now debating on whether or not he wants to keep his creatures. They don't really do much under this Ensnaring Bridge. Looks like he's going to keep 2. He cannot activate the Mox Opal. There is a Karn in play. So this is a problem. I don't know how this would be... I don't know how this would be resolved. If there's a judge, comment in the comments below, and how would this situation be handled? Riley just going to pass the turn. Disruptor Flute going to get cast at the end of Riley's turn. What does he name? There's not much he can name because Karn shuts everything off. But I guess he can prevent things from being cast. Looks like he's just going to name the Aether Spellbomb. Pavel's going to say, I don't need this Glacial Chasm anymore. You're not attacking me. Just going to get rid of it. Pavel going to draw for his turn. What does he find? I don't think it really matters. Karn going to tick down again. Is it Walking Ballista? No, Michael Scintillatus. So this is a hard lock. I'm going to stop Riley from casting anything at all. Okay, so I think... Is Riley realizing that? No, they're still talking. Basically, Pavel's explaining that Riley can't do anything anymore. I mean, if there's a free spell, then he could cast it, but not in this situation. Pavel's showing the Eye of Ugin to say that he can fetch for whatever he wants. It's going to be the end of the game, and yep, Pavel going to take it in 2. That was a dominant showing from Tron Post. So we will be seeing Pavel in the finals. Nice try, Riley. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.